Look, if you're here to find some sort of secret hack that will scale your ad accounts, you will not find that here, okay? Instead, you'll learn about the mindset that will make you the best goddamn media buyer out there.
Let's go into quality of traffic because that goes back down to costs.
Yeah.
And our theme here is to be risk adverse. And part of being risk adverse is understanding what it's going to cost you and then what the return, what the predicted return is on that. And so first we have to measure quality of traffic versus the cost on the platforms like Facebook and now TikTok.
I think one of the most exciting things that are coming, right, is getting to the sweet spot when the TikTok as an algorithm will be mature enough to be able to provide us the exact traffic quality that Facebook is providing us right now. So,
well,
you know,
I want to take a step back here because first of all, let me just address, I think, a basic conclusion that I think that we know, but I think many other people may not know, which is that pre-iOS release, we saw CPMs going up, and we knew CPMs were going to go up no matter what, but once we all heard about the iOS being released, we also assumed that quality of the traffic was going to go down because Facebook couldn't actually track effectively. And so what we were facing was CPMs going up and quality of traffic going down. But our conclusion now, after media buying millions after iOS release, is that CPMs have certainly gone up, but the quality of traffic is the same.
100%.
I think that it dipped only during August when they were recalibrating, but I noticed after that that Facebook's algorithm really just recalibrated effectively afterwards.
I mean, we're still scaling accounts. We're still scaling Facebook spend, so that's good enough conclusion. But it's it's always about whenever we scale businesses, I always see like two main paths to take how to scale, right?
Okay, yeah.
From like more technical side, right? And I think it's incredibly important first is to understand, that you need to try both of them and just to see which one is going to work.
Try both of the paths.
Yeah, and to understand which one is going to work better for you. So the paths are, it's either going to be quality over quantity, means that you're attracting expensive traffic that also converts on a high conversion rate, right? Or vice versa, cheap traffic that converts on low conversion rate, right? Now, many people think that that it's not important, or maybe you should do both, but from my personal experience, I can again like confidently say that at the end of everything, it's still going to be a ratio of different metrics that you need to match, right? So, for example, if we take the highest tier of metrics, it would be your AOV, your conversion rate, your CPC, right? Now, AOV is going to be always the most stable metric. It's not fluctuating like from 100 to 200 for no fucking reason, right? Now, AOV is also that metric that you don't really have a way to manipulate that much outside of CRO, of course, initiatives, but even that,
That's
usually
a slow burn,
and it doesn't increase your AOV by 2 times or 3 times, right? So what you can do, what you can control, and what you can manipulate is the costs, let's say CPC, and the conversion rate, right? So the goal is always going to be the ratio between those two main metrics, right? But what's important to understand is that and you can make it work both ways, yes, but I'm coming from which path is more scalable and faster scalable, and this is where it's very interesting because we have accounts that go from like cheap cost, low quality perspective, and for those accounts it's the right way to scale because when we try to shift vice versa, it just stops. We also have accounts that only scales when we go through like high cost, high quality of the traffic way.
You have to try both to see what's right for your business.
Yeah.
You have low quality, low AOV, low conversion rate, and then you have high quality, high cost, high conversion rate. And both of those are levers that you have to test to see which one. Now let's go into TikTok as a source of traffic. It's conclusive inside Sugatan that TikTok is an effective top-of-funnel acquisition channel that is absolutely scalable. However, we have to wait for TikTok's algorithm to mature. So Facebook's algorithm is, and its targetability and accuracy and targetability brings us quality of traffic, but that comes at a high cost. TikTok's cost right now is very low. The average CPMs that we're seeing is like $3 and some change all across the board, all across products, demographics, niches inside e-commerce, but the quality of traffic is low. And so the conversion rate is lower. Obviously the cost is lower because of the link CPC, but the interesting thing is that the link CTR inside TikTok is comparable to Facebook. And so to me, that already shows how engaged this audience inside TikTok is, because of the way TikTok as a platform is designed to create emotional attachment that has longevity to it. And historically, Facebook's, I think, CPM, when their algorithm matured enough to be very scalable because the cost of traffic going into the website was cheap enough to drive a profitable acquisition, that CPM was around, I would say, $9 to $13, maybe even $8 to $13 CPM. And us as those who are around for the next year, I think that that's the exciting part to anticipate, is when that happens on TikTok. And we're going to be there when it happens, and it's going to be really exciting when it does.
Yeah, because it's going to be that nuclear bomb scaling mode at that exact moment where it's going to be like the sweetest perfect balance between the quality and the cost, right? That we had in TikTok, in Facebook previously. That's where, drop shipping was easy, everything was easy. So I think, sooner or later the same time will come for TikTok too. So that's one of the things that we're tracking, looking at it closely and kind of waiting for that, while in the meantime, just adapting to our current state with TikTok and still scaling and making it work. But we know that it's only gonna get better when the algorithm is gonna mature enough.
Yeah, but the right balance right now is you still have to scale with Facebook and bring in TikTok as a complementary channel, warm up the ad account inside TikTok, really understand the platform so that when that time does come, you're ready. But again, we'll see. You never know. TikTok and Facebook are two different companies. So that's our hope. Our hope is that TikTok gets there.
Okay, so another extremely important section or like thing that we do is we constantly try to analyze where the people's attention is going inside different placements or different platforms, in TikTok's case. And it's all about, I think the principle or the strategy or the logic here is like super simple, right? You just want to show yourself in places where everyone spends most of the time, right? Because you get better chances of making them click on your ad. And I think the best proof of that is actually last year, last summer, when I think we were honestly probably one of the first ones who realized at that moment, that Reels started booming, right? And I was like, all of us, we were like ourselves, wait, shit, like out of nowhere, now I'm spending all of my time in Reels and like not in stories, not in feed. And that simply just suggested the ideas of like, okay, what can we do about it, right? And previous to that, from ad buying perspective, there's always this myth, oh, only auto placements works. Like, what's the point in testing placements or stuff like that, So we went against the myth, the stereotype, or the general belief, and we managed to build a specific strategies for Reels only campaigns, right? And in that particular, I think in the first 3 months, it was like a holy grail, because the CPMs were like so cheap, because there was literally no competition there. Because if you would run auto placements, the Facebook wouldn't spend on Reels automatically, right? You needed to run Reel specific campaigns, to make it spend on Reels, right? So the CPMs were like enormously cheap because no one was doing that, but the attention was extremely high there, because I remember like having historically low CPMs while at the same time having highest, like on account level, highest CTRs, right? So you imagine
Can you give an example? Average CPM, average link CTR, just to be specific.
I don't now remember numbers very, very closely, but if, I'll just take one account in mind. Like our average CPM account level was like 35 to 40, right? So Reels, I was having like 10, 15.
Yeah, exactly.
And CTR account level was 1 to 1.2%, 1.25. And in the beginning, Reels were like giving me 1.5.
Yeah.
So at the same time, we got way higher CTR, way lower CPMs. Our CPCs were extremely cheap. Yes, the quality was a little bit lower, but that was still like just to give you an understanding of how high and fast it went, right? The account was 3-4 years old. The lifetime spend was around 20 mil, right? And this Reel campaign that we've built in like literally first few months, it became the #1 campaign sorted by spend on a lifetime period in account that spent over 20 million. And all of this in 2 months. I remember I was at buying that account myself. I remember like being crazy about the fact that after first week I managed to shift like 80% of the budget towards completely new thing. like never ever before I had something like an experience where you test something and just every single day you're like tripling the budgets of.
But see, that's the beauty when you find the quality of traffic and the quality of attention, which is based on CPM and high link CTR.
Yeah, and it was amazing for a while, but then we started talking about it, and then everyone started coming into Reels,
and then the CPMs on Reels started to just
going up.
Yeah, and then the CPM on Reels started to go up.
Yeah, because the competition started catching up.
Yeah.
And at some point, it wasn't that cheap anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just an example of why it is important. Of course, it's not something that every single month you'll come up with some groundbreaking new strategy. But from time to time, you can really take advantage of these periods where like it's all you need to figure out is where people are spending their time, and if you'll find a place where like that no one is still aware of, or no one is like trying to bid against you in those places, then yeah, that's it. You scale like right there. So, it's just about being proactive constantly, and like the innovation itself is a never-ending like lifestyle. Lifestyle thing, right? It's always there, and I mean, still we're in this environment where things change too fast, So I mean, what's working now is not going to work after 6 months, or after 3 months. So like we always have to rotate stuff, and always come up with something new if we want to stay, one step ahead of our competition, right? Because again, like this is the most common mistake that I see in advertisers. The most important thing, right, beyond the hack or beyond the strategy, right? Is that you need to innovate yourself in your own unique account with your own unique data and your own unique patterns. Because whatever works for me, yeah, some things will work for you too, if they're really, really big things. Some of them just won't. And I mean, we have a bunch of like strategic like levers or whatever that we're pulling, and even within our own accounts, you know, one account works, another account doesn't work, and that's completely normal, you know. So the hack, the strategy is the mindset. Like I always try to emphasize this, that everything starts here, and then, you know, and if you crack here, then everything else will follow, you know. Like the innovation itself, like if you want to be in a place where you just want to follow others, right, and use already like existing things that are probably already squeezed out by others, right, you'll always stay 3 steps behind. Like there's literally no way for you to even be on the same line, you know.
Yeah. And so really, in summary, if you're a founder or you're managing ad buyers and you can just, and you don't know how to ad buy yourself, it's really important that you at least understand and try to gauge how much they're really innovating and trying new things, because that is what it's going to take to scale in this new landscape. And if you have an ad buyer that, or you yourself as an ad buyer, you know, you're just waiting for a creative to go viral, for example, and that's the response that you're getting from your ad buyer, that is the wrong approach, because it has to be a perfect marriage between your ad buying methodologies and innovation and your creative innovation simultaneously. I really do want to go into attribution innovation, because I think that, you know, we met Montes and Davides from Moiri during our time here in Vilnius, and as I talked to them, you know, it's becoming more, I think, common knowledge that accurate attribution is a pretty impossible task, or at least it's a long black hole. And so how we've innovated in still tracking the impact of our initiatives without actually getting stuck on the actual value of that initiative, we've gone to correlation in terms of percentages, as long as you have a stable data environment. And so task number 1, I think there's still a lot of people that don't, I think everybody has sort of like makeshifted their own solutions, whether it's Google Analytics or Hyros, or what was the other one that Maine Lobster was using?
Wicked Reports, Triple Whale, there's a bunch of them.
As long as you have managed to create a stable data environment where you're seeing the, like, it's a reliable data stream that you can then measure the impact of your initiatives from. That's all that matters.
It's really like, you know, like Facebook, for example, by default will give you 2 things at the same time. It's over-reporting and under-reporting. So like all of those softwares, what they just help you with is to solve for, like instead of having 2 issues at the same time, you have 1 issue, which is only under-reporting. And that's fine, because like the goal is, there's just one goal, like figure out your ratio between whatever ROAS you see like in whatever the channel, and what is your total ROAS. Like present total ROAS, where you take your total revenue divided by total marketing spend. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Like we just stopped looking at number as a number value. The only number value that we care about is the total ROAS or MER. That's it. Everything else is just, we started looking at those things as ratios, right? I'll give a very, very like basic example of account, like just to show you how this ratio works in real life. So for example, we had this account with $150 AOV, right? Our Hyros last click ROAS KPI for Facebook was 1.5, right? AV was the stable metric that you can't manipulate that much, and it was really, really stable around 150, right? So in that case, my ratio KPI between CPC and conversion rate was 1:1.
Okay.
And whenever I would maintain the same ratio, I would get draws. So it doesn't.
You would get the
target ROAS.
target ROAS, yeah.
And it doesn't mean if my CPC can be $1 and my conversion rate can be 1%. My CPC can be $5 and conversion rate 5%. I would always get the ROAS, right? So that's when we stopped saying that, oh, this is good CPC or this is bad CPC or this is good conversion rate or this is bad conversion rate, because it doesn't matter. What matters is ROAS, ratio, right? And that overlaps with what we've been saying earlier, that it's either quality over quantity or vice versa, right? So that's it. That's that simple solution. We just stopped looking at the number values and we started looking at ratios, and like we don't even care about attribution loss, because so what? Like that literally causes absolutely zero issues at the moment already. We could quickly touch on the cross-channel budget distribution, right? Which is another. I think it was the hottest topic in the last Q4, at least I think, right? Where everyone started realizing that shit, we can't be so dependent on Facebook, because Facebook, costs go up, maybe for some businesses that are not optimized well on the back end and they need a high total ROAS KPI, they started getting out of the business, because still at some point, if your cost goes too high but your quality does not follow in some sort of ratio, whatever ratio you need, you're going out of business because your numbers don't make sense, you can't get the ROAS, right? So I think many of the small, medium, let's say under 1 mil monthly revenue e-com businesses were like mainly stuck in like a budget proportion where like 90-95% of the total marketing spend was towards Facebook and like another 5 to 10% Google. Like that was the standard, without like thinking, individual cases where you get all of the smaller channels that don't really make that big of a difference, right? So all of us we're all aware that that's risk, and we need to diversify to reduce the risk. So what we have managed to achieve, and we see that it's kind of already a sweet spot that makes sense, and the current time is where Facebook from 90 to 95% goes down to 60%, right?
Of your total marketing spend?
Yeah. TikTok takes another 20 to 30%, and Google takes 10 to 20%, right? So in this kind of balance, you reduce the risks and you reduce your dependability on Facebook, right? So if some shit happens with Facebook, that's now only 60%, not 95%, right? At the same time, you unlock new channel, new audiences, new acquisitions, you scale, right? And yeah, you reduce the risks and you scale at the same time, because even if Facebook has like a number value spend remained the same, it just shifted from 95 or 90% down to 60%, like you basically like manage to scale by another 30 or 40% by just activating TikTok and maybe doing more work on Google, right?
Yeah.
So even if Facebook is going to shit, you literally don't need to do anything there. Just maintain what you have, and you can like still grow while at the same time reducing risks, while at the same time maintaining whatever EBITDA you need. And that's it. It's simple, right?
Good.
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 That's it.